Eren Yeager is not the freest man in Attack on Titan. He is the least free. That is the real horror of his story. People talk about Eren as if the rumbling were a choice. As if, in the end, he simply chose genocide over surrender. But that is too simple. Eren did not stand at the edge of history and freely become a monster. He became something far worse. A prisoner of a future he helped create. A boy whose obsession with freedom destroyed his ability to act freely. That is the paradox at the center of Eren Yeager. He spends his life chasing freedom and ends it as its slave. Not to another nation, but to his own idea of freedom. The collapse begins the moment he kisses Historia's hand. What looks like a revelation is really the destruction of linear time. Past, present, and future collapse into one endless present. The ocean, Marley, the rumbling, Mikasa, his own death. Everything arrives at once. From that moment, Eren no longer walks toward the future. He drags the future through every second of the present. That is why the older Eren feels almost lifeless. Not because war hardened him, but because hope requires uncertainty. And uncertainty is exactly what he loses. He knows what he will become. He knows what he will do. He knows how much blood waits at the end of the road. Yet he keeps walking. Not because he is fearless, but because his mind has become trapped inside a closed causal loop. Nothing reveals this more clearly than the death of Karla Yeager. For years it appears to be the tragedy that creates Eren. Then the truth emerges. It is Eren himself who sends Dina's Titan away from Bertholdt and toward his own mother. In that instant, his life stops looking like a tragedy. It becomes a machine, feeding itself. His mother's death creates Eren, and the future Eren preserves that death so he can exist. This is no longer revenge or ideology. It is a human mind forced to manufacture its own trauma to keep history intact. Eren is no longer only a victim. He becomes the caretaker of his own suffering. He pushes Grisha toward murder. He preserves the path to the founder. He becomes the instrument of the rumbling, all while trapped inside the mind of a 19-year-old who can no longer experience time like an ordinary human being. He is son and executioner, victim and architect, child and apocalypse. That is why Eren's words, "Because I was born into this world," are not a declaration of freedom. They are a sentence. He spends his life trying to break every wall before him, only to discover that the final wall was time itself. And it had always existed inside his own mind. Once the rumbling begins, Attack on Titan stops being a story about war. It becomes a story about industrialized death. That is what makes it so horrifying. The Wall Titans are not terrifying because they are giants. They are terrifying because they are systematic, not wild, not chaotic, organized. A moving wall of heat, flesh, and synchronized force. A machine designed to erase civilizations. Every step is mechanical. Every city becomes another destination. The rumbling is not rage. It is process. That is why Eren's founding Titan looks the way it does. Not heroic. Not even fully alive. It resembles infrastructure more than a body. A skeletal framework built for annihilation. And somewhere inside it, Eren is almost gone. When the world dies beneath him, he does not celebrate. He does not rage. He does not speak like a conqueror. He is empty, as if only the machinery continues to function. Nothing reveals this more clearly than Ramzi. Eren rescues an innocent boy, looks him in the eyes, knows he will kill him, and apologizes before it happens. That apology is one of the darkest moments in the entire story. Not because it is false, but because it is genuine. Eren truly regrets what he is about to do, and he still does it. By that point, He no longer acts like someone choosing between right and wrong. He acts like the guardian of a timeline already set in motion. Ramzi dies for one reason alone. He exists where the rumbling must pass. That is why the rumbling feels less like war, and more like automated slaughter. The victims are no longer enemies. They become obstacles inside a system already running. Eren understands this. His tears change nothing. They only prove that some part of him still recognizes the horror. He becomes a spectator to his own actions. One part of him grieves. Another continues moving forward. The body marches. The Titans march. Cities disappear. And Eren keeps moving because movement itself has become irreversible. That is why the rumbling is not Eren's freedom. It is the final stage of his slavery. He no longer has to choose. The choice has become a machine, and he has become its operator. Not a god, not a hero, not even a demon. Only a 19-year-old boy so completely consumed by determinism that he continues a genocide he understands, hates, and cannot stop. The deepest irony of Eren Yeager is that his entire life is built around destroying walls. He dreams of the world beyond them, the ocean, the open sky, a place untouched by fear. To him, freedom means the end of every cage. But when Eren finally reaches the outside world, he discovers only larger walls. Marley is a wall. History is a wall. Hatred is a wall. The entire world is another prison. Most people would accept that reality. Eren cannot, because his idea of freedom cannot coexist with imperfection. He does not want compromise. He wants the world Armin described. A world empty enough to match the image in his mind. And when reality refuses, he chooses to erase reality instead. That is the true meaning of the rumbling. Not simply revenge, not simply survival. It is one boy trying to force the world to resemble a dream. If freedom cannot exist inside reality, then reality itself must disappear. That is why Eren is more than a victim of determinism. He is an absolutist. He would rather destroy the world than accept that freedom was always going to be incomplete. His greatest failure is not what he does to his enemies. It is what he does to the people who love him. Armin, Mikasa, Jean, Connie. They become characters inside a future Eren has already written. They must witness the slaughter. And finally, they must kill him. Even his death becomes part of the plan. That is not sacrifice. It is emotional conscription. He forces his friends to carry the moral weight of his apocalypse. Then, in his final conversation with Armin, the myth collapses. Beneath the founder, beneath the future memories, beneath every speech about freedom, there is only a frightened 19-year-old boy. A boy who does not want Mikasa to love anyone else, who does not want to die, who does not want to be forgotten. That confession is humiliating, because it destroys the illusion that Eren ever became something greater than human. He bent time. He destroyed nations. He turned the world into a graveyard, searching for one perfect scenery. And what he found was not freedom, only emptiness. That is the final tragedy of Eren Yeager. He wanted a world without cages. So he became the architect of total erasure. After all, the bodies, all the steam, all the ruined continents, the only place that truly resembled freedom was the one where he no longer existed. He did not destroy the world because he was free. He destroyed it because freedom itself had become the strongest prison inside his own mind.